Hey everybody, Liz Peepee here, and I have a public service announcement for breastfeeding moms today. So if you don't know that about me, because I don't talk about breastfeeding too much on my timeline, because that's something that I used to do, but it's something that's in my brain, in my heart, and I can't help but think about these things, especially this time of year. I have been a registered nurse for 24 years, and 15 of those 24 years I spent working as an international board certified lactation consultant. And for a couple years before that, I served as a lactation counselor while I was training. So most of my nursing career, I helped moms with breastfeeding. I would say I probably assisted over 15,000 moms reach their breastfeeding goals. So I kind of know a little bit, just a little bit about breastfeeding. So let's talk about breastfeeding and the holidays and some of the things that might have an implication on breast milk supply. This is super duper important because I know firsthand, because I've witnessed it, and I've also know firsthand as a mom who was breastfeeding and working, how hard it can be to maintain your supply just anyway. It's a lot of work while you're working to pump and breastfeed, and then there's moms who exclusively pump, there's moms who have preemies, there's moms who have insufficient glandular tissue. There's a lot of moms out there who work really, really hard to maintain their breast milk supply. And so I want to take a few minutes to make sure that you don't accidentally sabotage your breast milk supply during this time of year. Okay, so if you know someone who is breastfeeding, please share this video with them, because I can guarantee you they're going to learn something they probably don't know, because a lot of this is not common knowledge. A lot of people don't know, and there was a lot of times when I would talk to breastfeeding moms because they were having a dip in their milk supply, and I would go over all these things with them, and they would literally start crying because they didn't know that it was going to have an impact. So let's raise awareness about these things so that moms don't have a dip in supply, because breast milk is so important for these babies. Okay, so really quickly, there's just I'm going to talk about two different areas that can impact your breast milk supply. Although there's a lot more, but let's just talk about these two for today. And the first one is foods, holiday foods. So the first food that can have a impact on your breast milk supply, can decrease your supply, is stuffing. Or here in the South, I'm sure you can already hear my Southern accent, I'm from Texas, we call it dressing or dressing. Meemaw's making the dressing this year. Okay, so dressing has, most dressings or stuffings, let me talk to all the peoples, has sage in it, and sage can decrease your milk supply. Okay, so I'm not saying a mom who has great milk supply, has never had any issues with her breast milk supply, she could probably eat one, maybe even two servings and be okay. But moms who have had issues with milk supply, these are the moms I'm talking to. Moms who maybe struggled a little bit, had decreases, had times when you had to take some supplements or do whatever. You guys, you really need to steer clear of these things. So dressing or stuffing is number one. Number two is anything flavored with peppermint. This is a big one. When Starbucks first released peppermint mocha lattes, I'm not kidding, I had so many moms calling me, and it took me a while to finally figure out. I was just like, peppermints, and they're like, well, I don't know. And then I drove by Starbucks one time, and it dawned on me that it could be the peppermint mocha lattes. And sure enough, I did some investigation, and their syrup says natural and artificial flavorings on it, which means they probably do use peppermint essential oil, because it's a very common flavoring to use for peppermint, because it's so readily accessible, and you can use a tiny amount of it to flavor a large batch of materials. So a lot of companies use peppermint essential oils to flavor their peppermint foods. Okay, so steer clear of peppermint. And on that note, peppermint essential oil can, even in the diffuser, guys, even in the diffuser. Okay, so dressing, stuffing, and peppermint. So the other area that I want to talk about really quickly is our medications. And the reason being is cold and flu season. hate that term because there's only 4 seasons, and one of the seasons isn't cold and flu season. But this time of year, people tend to get sick more often with colds and the flu, okay? And there are 3 medications that are commonly prescribed or used when you are not feeling well with cold and flu. And the first one is antihistamine. So that would be like your Benadryl, Zyrtec, Claritin, Allegra. You know, all of those have the potential to decrease your milk supply, okay? Let me stop for just a second. So if you call, this happens quite a bit. You call your pediatrician, you call your OB-GYN, and you run it by them. You say, I'm breastfeeding, and I've had a cold. What can I take? It's happened all the time. All the time. They would say, oh, I just looked it up in my drug book, you know, and Benadryl's safe while breastfeeding. Okay, time out. There is a big difference between safe while breastfeeding and compatible with breastfeeding, okay? So yes, Benadryl is absolutely safe while breastfeeding, and so are all the other medications that I'm going to talk about. They're safe for mom and they're safe for baby, but they can reduce your milk supply. So as a timeout, I'm going to say, or let's pause for a minute. When you are wondering if a medication is safe for breastfeeding moms, unless your doctor or your pediatrician has an IBCLC, which is International Board Certified Lactation Consultant, a breastfeeding expert on staff, don't call them. Okay, I said it. I know I said it. Or unless they have a medication and mother's milk book on hand. So they cannot look in the regular nurse drug book. They cannot look in the regular physician's drug guide, okay? It has to be a breastfeeding specific guide, okay? Because pregnancy risk is not the same as lactation risk. Totally 2 different things, okay? So make sure the person that you're asking is either a breastfeeding expert or has access to the correct book. Or here's a really simple way to fix it, guys. You can download the medication and mother's milk app on your phone. It's free. They do have some in-app upgrades that you can pay for, but the basic app is free, and you can type in any drug, and most of the time you are going to need the drug name. So like instead of typing in Benadryl, you are going to need to type in, why did my brain just go completely blank on diphenhydramine? I was like, what is it called? So you will need to actually have the drug name. So you might need to Google that or whatever. Okay. There's also an app called LactMed, all one word, LACTMED, LactMed. That's another app you can download. If you are in a different country and you need a resource in a different language, you can go to kellymom.com and go to the search bar and type in helplines. Okay. So back to the medications. So antihistamines is one group of medications you want to steer clear from. Now, wait, don't take my words out of context. If you are having an allergic reaction, or if your doctor has prescribed any of these medications because you need them for whatever reason, there are ways that you can increase your milk supply in case you do experience a decrease in your milk supply. So I am not saying don't take these medications if your physician has told you to take them. Make sure you have had the conversation that you're breastfeeding and ask them if there are any other medications that can be substituted. However, if it's just because you have a cold and you're looking for something over the counter to take to help remedy your symptoms, you probably want to look for something else, okay? So there's my little disclaimer, my spiel. I'm not going against doctors, physicians' advice. I'm just telling you things to be cautious about, okay? Steroids. So steroids are another one. So a lot of doctors will either give someone a steroid injection or give you steroid pills. if you're having like a sinus infection or really bad allergies or sometimes a really bad cold, a lot of times they will do that. So steroids can decrease your milk supply. Another one is decongestants. This one's an iffy one. You can read articles that say they're fine, and you can read articles that say that they can have an impact on milk supply. It's just one of those situations, like I told my moms in breastfeeding class, I don't recommend wearing a wired bra while breastfeeding because some moms will develop mastitis from the wire, cutting off milk supply. So it's just one of those things, in my opinion, it's not worth the risk, okay? Are you going to be the mom that has a decrease in supply? Are you not going to be the mom? I don't know. So I personally, as a breastfeeding mom, wouldn't want to take that risk with the decongestant when you have other options like nose sprays or the neti pot. There are other things you can do to help with your congestion. So I'm not going to go into what you can take in place. Again, contact an international board certified lactation consultant if you have questions like, I have a cold, what can I take? Call them. The Leche League has La Leche League has a hotline. You could call and ask them questions as well. Okay, so there's the story. I hope this was very helpful. Enjoy your holidays. Just enjoy your holidays without the dressing or stuffing and without peppermint, and watch those medications and keep on breastfeeding those babies, and have a great holiday season. Love you guys. Share this with everybody you know that's breastfeeding. All right, bye-bye.